that matchup against Pyrian last year.
Yeah, exactly right. We're not going to remind you of just the scoreline that Pyrian ended up on. It was a reverse legendary, to say the least, as BDD... He changes what you talk about when it comes to talking about counter matchups and things like that, and how these champions do against one another when he's playing Zoe. Because I feel like he navigates matchups a little bit better than a lot of Zoe players do, other Zoe players do, unless you're talking about someone like Rookie from over in the LPL.
Now
He's just that good.
To me, this is the game where we find out if Marang's up to it. And the reason why I say that is, I think solo lane-wise, Jinair have really good lane matchups against KT, and they've got Olaf. So we always talk about tempo jungling with Olaf from ahead, how strong he can be. I feel like Olaf could have a really prominent shift in the early game here to set up what could be a really strong game. But I think comp-wise, KT have done a lot of stuff, and there's power in the picks, but I think across the map, you don't really necessarily see why these 5 champions came together as a squad. So absolutely they can win, and game number 1 was a comfortable victory, but I think the Zoe choice in the second round puts the draft in a kind of weird spot.
Yeah, slightly wonky. One thing I do really like is the fact that Silas has access to a Pop Blossom. If you're a KT fan, that is a pretty good ultimate to have on the other side of the Rift, and it's going to be in his lane as well. As you can see, Linderung will be piloting the Zoe on the top side, most likely on hit.
He loves to steal those high AP ratio ultimates, Atlas, over 1, and that's a big number for good old Silas. The laning phase,
even the final spark. True. That ain't a bad one. I haven't really had a chance to talk about that when it comes to Silas, because we just haven't seen too much Lux.
We'll dive in there when it comes to specific interactions, but I just want to dive into another game. Game 1 left me wanting more, Atlas. It's time for more.
Yep, exactly right. We'll see whether KT can do it without having that Pyke on the top side of the map. Here we go, onto the Rift for game number 2.
Cheers are back. The Legends is back. It's summer. It's a good time to be alive, Atlas.
Exactly right. And Root has also chosen the correct skin on the Sivir as well.
Ooh, look at the sky.
That is incredible.
Chaos sky, by the way.
Oh, amazing. Amazing. That's going to be our redemption arc. We've got the name in the sky now, Papa Smithy.
We've got a lot to redeem, actually, at this point.
Yeah, we do.
Because after you lost after MSI lost, you were kind of like, well, I mean, we won a lot. But then after losing 3, I'm talking about MSI 2018.
Yeah, 2018.
Now 3 tournaments in, maybe there is some redemption that's going to be desperately wanted by the LCK players. And we saw the Pyke, so that was definitely a pick that brought back memories in G2. What about this game here is, from our Keystone, we do deduce that this is going to be the AP Nico. So it's going to be good for pushing, but not necessarily the same priority options of just trying to run down Kingen in the 1v1 matchup.
Yeah, what I've seen in the LPL has been a little bit more of a push towards that AP Nico instead, as BDD was robbed on that Paddle Star.
It is the Aftershock Lux, so I know a lot of people were thinking mid-Lux, because that's of course the last thing that we saw in Pro Play back at MSI and the LCS Finals, but a lot of Aftershock Lux in Korean solo queue, and against hard matchups, the amount of range, the sheer range of Lux, if she does one thing, it's outrange people. All her abilities are insanely massive range. You can do so much, and like we mentioned earlier, Mark over on Dominus versus Invictus Gaming. If you go back and watch one LPL game so far this season, it should be the game that Dominus won. I believe it was game 2 of that series, where Mark had an unbelievable performance on Aftershock Lux, where everything good and bad for his team was either made by Mark or stopped by Mark's shielding. It's like, when you get 5 points in shield, you provide so much temporary help to your teammates.
Well, we'll see whether the same kind of performance can come out of Callan here. And in lane with a Sivir, I actually don't mind how that combo is going to work, as they're going to stun each other here in the mid lane, as Grace does take a lot of damage from that empowered Paddle Star.
It's a disgrace Atlas BDD missed the cannon.
Oh my goodness, game over, go next. Go next. 100 gold in the lead here for Jinair. That's all we can with that season.
Right, Marang was napping a bit in game number 1. He's up on the map now.
Yep, the heal is going to come out. That is his original one, but it's not going to be enough. That's first blood. That's going to Malrong.
And sometimes you ask and you receive. We said, look at these solo lanes a lot for the Olaf to tempo jungle aggressively and take advantage of. Ask shall receive. And even in the bot lane, in a matchup where I think there'll be windows where Lux won't be as effective. When it comes to pushing, she provides much more pushing options than Rakan. Could just be 3 pushing lanes, although for now, we do see the Silas pushing in top.
Yeah, Kingan's doing a decent job up there, has taken the Comet. It's been interesting tracking what Silas has decided to do since There's been less Aftershocks just across the board. Interesting that we do have the Aftershock picked up by the Lux when Aftershock did take a little bit of a hit more recently.
I believe the first ever Silas was Soaz with Comet, and it just didn't work out from memory. There was a Comet Silas the first week in LEC, and damage Silas is definitely in the meta, right? It's proto belt into full damage these days on Silas. Linderung's being shadowed, but that ward is very useful to spot Umti.
Yeah, real high value there. So he's going to wait in this brush, and Umti's position is spotted. He does sweep it out though. So Linderung's still going to have to play relatively defensively, understanding that Lee Sin's probably still on the top side. He's going to recall now. Malrung down towards the bottom side. He will get spotted on a ward as well. So position of jungle is well known. BDD does still have his flash, but bottom side of the map, Roots is going to be able to pick up another kill. Could even be a second one here as Prey not going to get hit by the backside of that boomerang blade, but the damage is being done here on the bottom side.
Aftershock Lux in the 2v2 is really underrated. I think Snowflower just overrated his tankiness. Got Guardian, he got the base stat buffs. Malrung's walking up, he's going to find Umti.
Yeah, it's going to be the face check. Umti gets a bit of damage out there, lands the Q. Now going to disengage. KT saved themselves with the attention of their jungler giving an assist.
And fans at home, I'm actually encouraging you. Dust off whichever cute Lux skin you like the most. She's got so many of them, right?
Oh, yeah,
I believe
so
she
many.
might be the most now over Teemo. And Lux
I think
support with
Tristan is still winning.
Aftershock is a legit climbing tool. It does so much. Now max the W first, you trolls. Don't max the damage spells. And in lane, you just see what happens. Yes, not the tankiest, but the moment you back away, it's just free damage onto both Prey and Snowflower.
Yeah, that light binding was absolutely stunning. Looking to try and get themselves a continued fantastic start in this game. Talking about redemption arcs, I mean, KT had a great time in game number 1, but Jin Air, they need victories. Here in the LCK, only one game last time around, and just wasn't quite enough, Papa Smithy.
And yes, we expect KT to be better than Spring, but if you're just a Jin Air fan, you look at the list and say, well, KT has to be more achievable than SKT Griffin and some of the other playoff teams, right? So can't really afford to have a soft start. They really do need to embrace the opportunity they're in, and even winning a game here, I think, would mean a lot for the squad.
We'll see whether they can actually do it. Still very early days, 6.5 minutes in. Prey does pick up that category, so we're back. As Trouble Bubble lands here in the mid lane. BDD uses the last of his mana to bring Grace down to 300 health. Pops that Corrupting Potion. Doesn't quite have what looks to be a potential tier to come in from the city, which would be interesting. Maybe that's just odd items that he had access to. You'd think Lost Chapter would be the first pickup.
Might just be the 80 carry way of having gold for it and going for it. I understand the multiple different things you're considering here. Olaf loves those fast drakes. Gonna get this one very easily. Lux comes over. 3 points E, max W is usually what you see. It's kind of the way most range supports do, is you harass ability needs some points in the early laning phase, and then you go for your major utility spell, which is, of course, the W on support Lux. Umti walks up. He's going to be spotted by Linderung.
Yep, Linderung's going to move on in. That's a great snare that's going to land. Pop Blossom's invested, but Umti gets his way out. Does have a blast cone as well to get his way around. Another kickback comes in. He was considering following, but decides maybe topside's going to be his way out. Kingin doesn't even know that they're on their way. Picks himself up a turret plate. That's a great max range stun there from Grace. He's looking for the ultimate, not going to quite get there as Umti almost makes his way out, but Linderung gets that last hit. And on the bottom side, that's one knock-up landing onto Kellen there as Prey has to use the ultimate. Root going down very, very low, but Snowflower has no damage to offer apart from. Okay, Boomerang Blade comes in, and he needed that Guardian Shield to survive. Snowflower and Prey struggling in this lane.
Kellen was level 6 short of picking up that kill on Prey, you'd have to think, after the binding hit. Kellen and Root staying in the brush. Root won't get it back here. Desperately needs to get towards Essence Reaver, because if you're going to play this high trading style, Civ is going to go out of bounds.
Yeah. In fact, both of these 80 carries most likely looking for that particular item. Feels like Sivir and Xayah are the two that like to go towards the Essence Reaver even more. Ever so slightly. Speaking of ever so slightly, Prey does have a fair bit more CS here on the bottom side of the map to the tune of 2. But it is going to be that extra kill, meaning that Jin Air are very comfortable.
And it's actually going to be, because we have the 2 in vogue AD carries, because Essence Reaver is the item that's really high power level now among AD carries, we'll probably see these 2 champions very frequently. We're seeing the matchup here. The first to Essence Reaver gets a big lead. Does Prey have... Had Flash, didn't have Featherstorm, does get out.
Yeah, did need to use that flash as well. If that Undertow had have landed, he was very, very dead. So that's a free flash going over to Jin Air. Malrung's going to be pretty comfortable, pretty happy with that one, as Kellen's going to make his way into the mid lane, as Lightbinding is not going to find the target of Snowflower, now trying to offer something back. Doesn't get there, just offers a Q and gives a bit of a heal over to BDD.
The one more wave disease hits Prey on his return. It's a solo Q special, guys.
Yep.
That was a flash binding from Kellen, so that's actually a pretty big target on the map of the Lux. Nice steal. Comes through for the Olaf, I believe, after all is said and done, after being stolen away by the Syndra W. But Lux, if she can just disengage and throw out a shield, really strong in trades. If Lux is engaged on, not as strong.
No, that is generally the Lux thing. How many times have you seen in solo queue that Lux that's just randomly 10-0-7 and you just can't kill her?
It does happen.
It does happen. It does happen.
She's just a really popular champion. A lot of people love playing her. People were playing Lux support as a troll thing many, many years ago. The Aftershock change really does make her strong. And while Aftershock is nerfed as a keystone, that's why we don't see Sylas picking it up anymore.
Yep.
It's relevant for champions who are still pretty low level, or super squishy champions that are for lane. Because in lane, you still get the same resist of 70 that you did early, and that's plenty for trading 2v2, and you pick Lux to get lane advantages through the Aftershock.
And that's precisely what happened in that first kill that went down on the bottom side of the map as well. It was the fact that Kellen wasn't trade killed. They had the Aftershock available, that kept him alive, and then they were able to make them more greedy as Pop Blossom comes down. King uses it to kill a siege minion that is going to keep himself alive with the shield as well.
Yeah, but the shield, I think, was the major thing there. We should talk again about the AP choice on the Nico, as there's going to be some nice damage coming in here.
Yeah, immediately actually going to be able to get his Electrocute proc there as well. Half the health bar there onto Grace, but otherwise he's pretty happy here in the mid lane. Not a lot of damage now that BDD has picked up Mercury's treasure in his own lane.
So Linderung has chosen to sack some of the 1v1 kill pressure for way more sieging now. And suddenly, all 5 members of Jin Air want to roll through on a siege and get a lot done with AoE roots being thrown out, Lux's bevy of CC, and then Syndra as well. So there's a lot of siege power on the side of Jin, and really only BDD on the side of KT.
See whether that is going to be enough here as Linderung takes a bit of damage there as Kingen stops the back. Good ward there to make sure that timing is not going to be exactly what they wanted. Is he going to be happy? Because any sort of disruption at this point is great news. They're 2,000 gold behind at 11.5 minutes, and they need to find their way back into this game. Umti going to consider it on the bottom side.
Remember, they know that Kellen's flash is down. Here comes Umti, popping from behind, Rek'Sai style.
Yep, Snowflower almost gets into position, but Prey takes a bit of damage there from Kellen.
And the minions are in kind of an awkward spot where you're going to take that extra turret shot, whatever you do, as Umti, so probably smart to buy a little time. I don't think Kellen's spotted out, but I'm not exactly sure when the vision starts as the E is in the air.
Yeah, a lot of pings down there towards the bottom side as BDD is going to get stunned up. Those Mercury's treads are going to be very useful here at this stage. He's not going to land there from Umti as BDD is able to avoid almost everything. Goes gold in there, and that's going to be a lot of damage. The gold is going to be on both sides. Final Spark is going to pick him off. Just the tip is going to land. That's going to be the first kill, but answered as Kellen comes in. Grabs the Syndra. Linderung now 1 versus 3 in the mid lane, but does have backup. They are going to disengage for the moment.
A 1-for-1, and crucially, the only person not to walk up is Prey, who gets a shop in through all of it, so that suits KT just fine. Get the better shop timing. Jin Air, though, are first on the Rift and access to Infernal, and KT out of position. Sylas actually going topside, just bringing this play.
Well, Redemption comes down. That's BDD managed to hijack that. It's going to be the Olaf securing the Dragon and then losing his life, but you could imagine that Jin Air are going to be relatively okay with that, because as this game goes on, that Infernal Drake is going to get better and better.
Prey actually combat teleported in just to get the kill on the back end. Now it's teleport versus heal, so it's not there's going to be a TP advantage. Enemy Sivir, but a little bit curious. on that one. I'm used to Yumi interaction, so when I saw the W from Lee Sin, I'm like, is he going to be in base? But
and also we've got the Lovers Duo on the bottom side of the map as well, and it was like Umti was trying to go back home as well, but that's not how it works unless you're Rakan.
Yes, the Lovers Duo, Prey and Snowflower. Some things take time to get used to. Old wounds don't close straight away.
Nope. I was, of course, talking about Zaya Rakan, but you're exactly right. When it was Gorilla, it just felt two-tone. The Lovers Duo. Marung takes down the Rift Scuttler. He's not able to lock that one in. Race. We're going to get seen by the relatively invisible Trouble Bubble. That was very strange. Maybe he sort of threw it out and then disappeared. He's got back to a point of comfort here as we have a look at the replay of what happened in mid lane. Good stun coming up.
There's definitely been more invested from Jinair mid lane than from KT. He's been playing on other parts of the map. It was a good play from BD to sidestep here. I think it's actually really well played on both sides. Olaf ends up being very low, but the final spot gets the kill. So remember, it is a support kill on the side of Jinair. KT gets gold onto their top laner.
Well, Linderung, Top Blossom not getting a lot of value here either, as he was able to stave off at least 3 people, use that zoning. Coming forward as the exhaust comes down. Umti was looking for Grace as the Unleashed Power very early. Does get the double stun onto Umti and BDD, but Marung can't find his way in.
Marung had committed a little bit early. The double stun could have been big, but in the end, of course, had to just pull away.
I actually really like it when Citrus do that. You ult early, allow for so many more orbs to be on the field, and then you can stun people a little bit more easily.
Try and argue with me about what the best play of MSI was, because for sure it was when Rookie forked his stun and was able to hit 2 people under the top lane turret. What an outrageous play that was. And I believe it was.
I still think Faker's 5-man as Silas
I mean,
is my favorite.
I get that one, but that one was at least pretty straightforward. And our ultimate just very, very decisively done.
Yeah.
The Rookie one was out of this world.
I feel like Rookie Syndra is on a completely different level to almost anybody else's Syndra, to be honest.
I'm with you on that one, but Invictus Gaming, not on a different level to any other team like we first suspected about MSI. Two are overlords right now, and the KT fans just want to be in the conversation when it comes to Korean overlords.
Yep. Well, there's only one way to go, and that is forward. LCK fans, we need to see what our team's going to be able to do here in summer, and so far, the adaptation of game number 1 that we saw from KT was definitely good, and now Jinair going to throw their own flavor out here with the Lux support. It's getting value already here. There are a couple of kills ahead of KT, but this game has slowed down, and KT have actually closed that gap as they pick themselves up the Rift Herald, and it feels like KT are just sort of back in business now in this game. Kellen's going to move on over with Malrung, but you can see KT, their focus is on the top side, and they are going to bully Linderung out of here, and maybe Prey is going to be where Jinair are going to try and opt in for, but you can see the rotations are there, and KT keep themselves safe wherever they go.
It's actually a really bad rotation from Jinair because they cut down when the minion wave is really far away. It was at the inner turret, and it was cleared out, so actually, they're not doing anything while KT's knocking on the inner turret.
Yeah, and Shelly's going to be able to take him down to half health instantly as well. Sitting on that pop loss is going to be okay. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the map, it's going to be a fight started. Final spark not even needed as the Olaf picks up the kill. Now this outer turret could be falling, but Jinair are a little bit behind when it comes to the play.
Snowflower all in on an Olaf, wasn't able to flash out because of the change on the W mechanic, and then just died because of course he's Rakan and super squishy, so did that very poorly, trying to buy time for the 2 turrets to go down. Definitely the turret race handedly won by KT overall, but around those plays, some tuning to be done.
Yeah, you can still see that the gold is actually in favor of Jinair after that, as quickness was popped, and then nothing actually happened as Ragnarok was available, and the Olaf isn't going to be too worried and has a couple of axes that he can give to Rakan in order to end his life.
I have to say, again, I'm much more convinced by the Jinair comp as this game goes on than KT's. Absolutely, KT can win. It's not like they have a poor draft by any means, but I feel like Jinair going to be really a handful to deal with when the sieges come up. I think in team fights, Sivir is going to be very unaccountable unless somehow Rakan or Umti find a flank and get to her. So I think there's a lot to like about Jinair as the game goes on. Their execution, though, historically hasn't been good enough mid to late game. I think they're going to get to a mid game in a lot more even fashion.
Well, Grace in position, not going to find the stun there onto Umti, though, as they do look to get him. They knock him up with the grand entrance. He flashes in order to get himself away. The flash forward there from BDD, that's maybe why they picked up the Zoe. Olaf does grab the Mountain Drake, as Earth, Wind, and Fire now belongs to Jin Air, but can they keep themselves alive in their own jungle? Root pathing on up, Linderung, that is the wrong one. And KT should just be able to get inner track on this outer turret in mid lane. Still something that they're probably okay with as Unleashed Power comes out of Kingen this time. Doesn't have a lot of orbs to offer as the flash forward does come in from BDD. Pop Blossom in the back line as Linderung almost looked like he panicked there as Prey right underneath this turret. Gets out of turret range. That's the Feather Storm there from Prey, but they eventually get it done. Kingen locks it down onto Syndra, but this has been so messy.
Definitely rough and tumble between the two teams there. Jin Air were too confident trying to take Drake and also stop KT pushing mid, but out of position for that. Then we had this awkward little standoff between the two turrets in the mid lane. I believe, of all things, Luden's proc might have just been the edge of the Q burst on the Sylas. Doesn't have the Luden, so would have been that. Took down Grace on the back end here, so a little bit yucky, but the first play from Jin Air is good, but trying to patrol two sides, I think they were easily found out.
Yeah, a really cute kickback into the grand entrance there as well. Snowflower managed to catch the Syndra in midair, but Flash is going to get him out as at least Malrung was able, like we said before, to lock down the Mountain Drake, which can be useful in the later stages.
They've definitely been cleaner. We'll see if it's the Comet proc or the secondary part of the Q that picks up the kill here. It is Comet from Kingen. They're in this awkward spot. The R, like you mentioned, was a panic one for the shield as far as we can tell. Let's watch this last Q. They got stunned under two turrets.
Yeah.
Like, wait, how many kills are going to happen here? Q comes out. It's the Comet. Yes.
Yeah, it was.
That was a legendary Comet right
That's
there.
a brilliant. That's why you take it. Soaz was right, man. That's thankfully, you know, we get to thank our EU overlords once again, Pop Smith, for teaching us how to play
People
League of
complaining
Legends.
about me talking about LEC too much in spring season.
It's going to be
History
worse
would show
now.
that we're going to talk about more LEC as far as I can tell.
Yep. I've realized now that I have to stay up to watch LEC every night, which is going to be really difficult on my sleep schedule.
It's on 7 days a week now. Nice.
Well, maybe the games that I've missed can be some of the nights. Come on, man. I didn't watch all the games in spring either, so I'm going to have to go back.
Prey takes a chunk out here, and I think Prey has been a little bit more kind of back to earth in this game, as around him they don't have win-win-win in every lane.
Yeah.
KT have to be careful with their approaches. They're ahead in gold, which does bode well. But BDD is kind of this one-man siege train as Kellen feeling a blue.
But that ultimate is not exactly on the longest cooldown. Athene's Unholy Grail is now completed. For the Lux as well, as Kingen is just proccing his passive about a bajillion times over and over again.
He wants this,
he is going to lock it down with the Pop Blossom, but Linderung's going to give one back. The flash, not quite far enough. The light binding just a little bit off there. I think that was a bit of an unforced error from Kellen because I think he was stunned for long enough for that one to land, but just not quite able to connect it.
Understand the idea of bursting the blue, but it's very bold to root yourself in place for a moment when there's two people with CC who are trying to contest the blue.
Line
buff,
CC as well.
I think Kingen's first thought was good, but the amount of forethought there was perhaps not the best. Doesn't really matter for this moment, though. We're now into a bit of a lull state. First mid-game lull state of the
Jacking
LCK.
on the ward there for Umti, takes half of his health bar for the favor.
A lot of shove for the Sylas, and even more for the Nico in the side lanes. Item lead for the Sylas now, though, on completed items. Linderung really wants to zone you so he can try to super playmate with the R. You can do a lot of fun flash plays when you get that done.
Yep, he can actually just be a poor man's cannon sort of thing with those style of flanking plays. Not able to get the consistent damage down, of course, but the Pop Blossom, if it lands in the right spot, can certainly be very effectual. And having the Spooky Ghost as well as the Super Soaker now, as this Glacial augment Nico, she can be very frustrating, and it's hard to actually maneuver your way out of a Pop Blossom if it does get in the right position.
For now, I think KT are in a pretty good spot to win skirmishes and fights because the items are still not there for the Sivir, but I look forward to a time when IE Zeal item is done. Those crits are just hot knife through butter.
Oh, yeah.
Only armor is on the Zonias. Everyone else is going to be so squishy on the side of KT, so that could be a real big win condition in the 3 items on Sivir, which of course has been there for a long time. Right now, though, Zeal item complete for Xayah. 2 items done with double pen, or just single pen, I guess it's Merc Treads for the Zoe, so they still have the ability to delete someone, get Baron, and make late game scaling another dirty word situation, but what can KT do now? There's potential, but for now, nothing more.
Yeah, I'm looking at B2D. I feel like if he can land the bubbles here in this mid-game and transition them into a Baron from a decent pick, That's going to be how KT are going to be able to do it, because whenever BDD Zoe is in the game, you can morph it a lot around how he's able to actually land these skill shots as the game goes on. Same with any Zoe, of course. Showmaker is a good example from spring season as well.
In case you're wondering, budding Lux support solo queue players, it's not AP stacking to burst people, it is definitely shield strength stacking to just, through a team fight, give people like 1500 health with 3 sets of shields. Cooldown definitely does rank low, so all the people disappointed on blowing people up, sorry about that. Speaking of blowing up, Jin, I need to answer some of the turrets Casey got earlier.
Yep, outer turret is going to fall here on the top side of the map. Inner turret is now being defended by Linderung, I believe. That is still standing. No inner turrets to fall yet, but a fair bit of damage was done to the inner turret of Jin out on the top side. Kingen just going on a bit of a roam here. Protobelt is now currently on cooldown. Has himself his original stopwatch though. You can see he's going to be able to go into stasis multiple times in the next fight.
Hooray.
So that's
the good news, never stops.
It's going to be really fun for me to trick.
Also, if you consider what will happen, it's likely going to be charging with E and then having Nico ultimate and 2 stasis. So,
yeah.
The stasis could be very significant when it comes to a hard engage. Because again, the reverse, the eventuality is a lot of AP and Sivarol to guarantee Nico's positioning in a team fight. KT walk up.
Oh, this is really dangerous for Grace. They do have control ward vision. That's the stun landing onto Snowflower. Not a lot of damage there as Scatter the Weak was able to help them out. Undertow flies forward there from Jinair Greenwings, but they're losing the vision around this area. Inner turret falls on the top side as Sleepy Trouble Bubble will stop anyone on Jinair from moving on forward.
Playing with fire here are Jinair Greenwings trying to fight through areas that extend that range.
Kingen can run really fast now as well, as On the Hunt has been picked up.
Walking down. Jinair just trying to brace until they know that a siege comp doesn't want to fight in the jungle particularly until the items just make it irrelevant. Kingen's on the flank, he can be fast himself, but he wouldn't be grouping for movement speed with his team on this flank. Here he comes.
Yep, Linderung finds himself on the wrong side of that one as he doesn't find the abscond. Kingen can't connect to start this fight off. We'll have another hijack available relatively soon, and he can choose a different one if he feels like it. Level 15, not quite level 16, for almost the instant hijack cooldown to come back off again.
Bit of a limp flank attempt. I hope it was more about cycling his ultimate than necessarily trying to make something happen.
I think if he had landed the abscond, it
sure,
would have been a different story, but I think you're right. Probably just feeling like On the Hunt is not exactly the most high impact. But Infinity Edge is now done here from Root. So this could be really, really scary.
Yeah, that item doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I was going to say, what?
It's just showing the spook. I believe it's the spooky ghosts.
The Frost Queen's claim?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the spooky ghost active, or used to be.
Because they used to be twin shadows, in case you guys want a bit of a history lesson here. That effect was added to
Frost Queen's claim.
Frost Queen's claim, the evolved support AP item, and that's why it's still there after that was removed, and it was moved back to twin shadows.
Yeah, there's been so many changes and then reverting and then changes again, like Zach now, LeBlanc before.
What are you talking about? Old, new Zach? New, old Zach?
Old, new, old LeBlanc and Zach. And Frost Queen's claim Spooky Ghost. I'm just glad that we say Spooky Ghost, which isn't actually the item at all, so you can just say that for whichever one it turns into.
By the way, skip the first cast where Zach and LeBlanc are both in the game, because it's going to be just nonsense about new, old.
Oh, it's going to be so silly.
It's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
That's our scheduled bad cast. You only get one, Atlas.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, damn, I had a whole season last time. Okay, that's the kickback though onto Grace. Umpty was kidding. He's just going to jump on out of there. Baron gets a little bit upset, but I don't think he was actually aggroed. Kingen over onto the side. Linderung clearing things out. Prey. Very close to getting snagged by that light binding, but actually isn't going to be hit by anything.
I feel like a lot of peculiar things have happened post 10 minutes in this game, and I
feel like there's been a lot of nothing happening, you know? But there's like a lot of like just nothing really happening.
I feel like we had a modern art game, and now we're having impressionist art. And I'm like,
yeah.
Is it a circle? Is it a Baron?
Yep. Trying to work out what a Picasso is. This point as Baron's down to half health. This is certainly a something as BDD on the top side in flanking position. Kingen's going to move on over. Should be able to get here in time, but KT don't want to go for that 50-50. Light Binding's going to go wide. They jump back onto the Baron now as KT. Decent positioning. Okay, Snowflower, grand entrance, gets himself out. The battle dance is going to be in there. Umpty. Oh, meanwhile, Kingen on the back end gets the 2. with the ultimate. The Pop Blossom is popping off for KT as Unti gets the kick flash. Grace is dead because of it. And KT Rolster get a Baron, they get a couple of kills, and they're back in the driver's seat.
He's still hopping mad. That's not going to hit.
Yeah, Pop Blossom once again going to be used seemingly like a panic station situation from Linderung. It's not what they want, and KT are going to continue the aggression, moving towards the inner turret mid lane. They're feeling like big bullies right now on this map for KT. It's just not what we were expecting based on the compositions, and I think Jin Air are sort of showing their stripes a little bit, unfortunately. Our bottom team for Spring is looking to cement themselves in a similar position here for Summer.
They were in the driver's seat, Atlas. It felt like they had control of what happened next, but they kind of just meandered for a good 10 to 15 minutes. KT brought the game into relative normalcy. They were actually mildly ahead in gold, but we felt like Jin Air could kind of make the location of the next fight. You compare that to KT in the first game that was deciding everywhere Jin Air had to go, and then KT saying, all right, we'll start the Baron. Let's see how you make sense of it. It ends up being a 50-50, but it goes the way of them.
Yeah, Abscond lands this time, and that is why Kingan was able to get in and get so much damage. Pop Blossom coming out from a full AP silence is just a disgusting ability. As Umti played it about as well as he could as well. I mean, it was a really cute kick flash in order to get Grace into exactly the position that they wanted him, but that 3.2k was all the Pop Blossom.
And all you need to know about whether Jin Air win or lose a team fight is look at the Sivir damage, and if it's a lower number than the Xayah, they definitely didn't win the team fight.
And Sivir, remember, this was Prey without his Infinity Edge completed as well.
I mean, now Sivir has hers. I would imagine wasn't done for that fight.
No, it was. Yeah, Root had his Prey.
3 items done and 1,000 damage for a Sivir against a comp like this is always going to be a lost fight. They could never set up the scenario they wanted. They've never got that siege on like this comp could have been so powerful.
Well, Q going to land, bubble not. It's KT sieging there on the bottom side. Inhibitor already down in the mid lane. It's only a matter of time before these super creeps move on forward. And KT, it's almost easy mode siege here as the Pop Blossom comes down once again. Linderung does go golden. Zonya's now on cooldown, and Kingan will have that Hydra back up again because he's level 17. It's up already.
KT already one inhibitor down, soon to be 2. Jin Air need to try and all in and make any mistakes, this game is over. If they don't, game still might be over.
Yeah. On the hunt, now picked up by Kingan. It's going to be his next ultimate of choice. In fact, he has a bevy of them. There are so many good ultimates here in this game that he can use for burst damage, unleash power, as well as the final spark. Good ones, considering the Pop Blossom is on cooldown for Kingan.
Now, Pop, they're going to try something, but KT will move forward.
Yeah, he diving into the back line. Can he get the kick back? He does onto Kellen, but he survives. Grace is not so lucky though, as the final spark doesn't do too much. Linderung flashes forward, gets 3 in the Pop Blossom. Kingan gets into his Zonyas, but it's the bottom lane just evaporating on KT's side. BDD, you don't have any friends left. You're going to have to run the heck away. He is going to do so, but that is going to be the push abated here by Jin Air. Finally, they get themselves the engage they were looking for.
Linderung finally gets to make his impact impression and try to turn the game. It's around top lane inhibitor like it was in that big series against Invictus Gaming, but it's after 2 inhibitors already down, Atlas. That's the big cost here. Fight opens and it's on KT's terms again. Linderung's not there. He's on a very long flank around, but he's not noticed, even though he's in vision on the minions. When his flash comes in, you get to see the potential of the AP Nico.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. No Featherstorm available there from Prey. He had used it earlier on, and that is very different Sivir damage. Exactly what we were talking about before. Triple kill going over to Root, and he's going to have so much more money now to play with.
In a different game, that's the turning point for Jin Air Greenwings, just like it was for Impact and Team Liquid in the semi-final of MSI, but with so much already down. Very difficult for Jin Air to rewrite this game. All they can do is put 5 men on top of each other and say, come fight us for our last inhibitor.
Well, we'll see whether that's actually going to pay off, or whether they can convince KT to, in fact, do that. Kingan now moving towards the bottom side of the map. He has his teleport available and also has a blue buff ready to steal. Blue trinkets are going to be utilized here as KT just want to stamp some control around this red side jungle of Jin Air Greenwings. The Baron is up in a minute, and that might be the next point of contention here, as KT shove in the minion waves beforehand, put on as much pressure before that big purple worm once again makes its way back onto the roof.
BT straight up after the triple kill there, and if you play AD carry, you know BT is super expensive, so that is a big pickup here. 4 AD items done onto Root. They find another Pop Blossom. KT, go Pop Atlas.
Exactly. And he's going to need some pretty good spell shields, but if they land, it's going to be great news. His Redemption comes in to keep Malrung alive, but that is Ragnarok now on cooldown. And that could be the biggest deal, as KT will be able to get themselves the 3rd inhibitor. 25 seconds, Baron's going to be back. With 3 inhibitors down, it is so hard for Jin Air to leave their base, especially when they have to check Fog of War against a Zoe.
Looking for the catch. KT staying out of vision. They know Jin Air haven't been able to escape and put down vision in meaningful areas.
Oh, wow. Okay, they're going to try and catch King, and Pop Blossom does go down. He catches Malrung with it, but still, does he have that other stopwatch? I don't think so. There's the other Pop Blossom. Kingan's going to go down eventually. He stuck around for a long time. Root still very, very healthy here, as KT think they might have an opportunity. Prey tries to get the Blade Caller. He's actually looking for inhibitors now, as Snowflower tries to get himself out. Umti not going to get snagged by much. Life Finding is going to be ignored as Prey against the world. This is his debut series on KT, and already he's running towards Jin Air's base. He's defecting, Papa Smithy. What is happening? Can he get the execute? The answer is going to be no, as he falls down, and sometimes the spring flavor is more difficult to remove.
Now, Prey does a really smart thing here. We'll talk about this way later. Kingan's on a fight, but he's literally on
Standing
a
on
visible ward, mate. Come on, what are you doing? He has that stasis, able to live for a while, but now KT's super out of position. You could all try to rush mid lane, but with the no minion wave, you can't end the game. So they're really at 6s and 7s here. I imagine the final decision for Prey to go forward, the rest to buy time, might have been a scattered one, but Prey makes the most of it because he takes the inhibitor. He actually drags the team all the way to their fountain, and it means the reset is delayed, but now Jin Air trying to do 2 things at once. Take the Baron and stop Kingan from backdooring.
Well, Umti's going to die, so that is going to mean that the Baron does go over to Jin Air very comfortably. Kingan, like you were saying, was trying to get that backdoor happening, but Grace was there to answer it. So Jin Air, that is going to be a free Baron, and that's on top of an Infernal Drake as well as a Mountain Drake that they already had. They do have the Drake advantage here moving into the late game, and it's just their base that is in absolute tatters at this point, but it means that Root can continue farming. He's only got 1 more item slot, and he has all 6 complete.
In 60 minutes, it'll be 95 minutes Atlas, and that's already what Jin Air are thinking about. It's Sivir, it's late game, it's a telecom war team. As going to see the replay here. Again, attempted steal, not going to happen. It's very difficult for them to get 3 inhibitors up and then fight somewhere where they don't lose 2 inhibitors during a fight. That's kind of the issue here. Is with all inhibitor turrets down, very difficult to put up a valiant defense. But item-wise, I mean, Root can't have any more. He's full.
Yeah, and if you look down at the scoreline as well, 8-1 and 4 for the Sivir. If this is a lost game, this is where Root's talking to other teams after this. It's like, no, we can't do this. Because that is an incredible scoreline, and if they don't manage to take this game, which will be a comeback victory, with an 8-1 and 4 Sivir.
And it's more than just a comeback victory, because that could be like 500 gold down at 10 minutes. This is like a huge comeback with 3 inhibitors down.
But they have a 3,000 gold lead
it's
at this
so
point.
hard, Atlas, because how do you push out all your minion waves, ward up defensively, and ward the Baron, and find a 5v5 fight where you don't lose your base? Too many ands, Atlas. The grammar's really bad. We're spelling grammar with an E, and people hate that. So, unfortunately, I think KT's still in the driver's seat. And remember, compared to 94 Minutes to Dream, all those neutral buffs are way stronger.
Yeah, in fact, 94 Minutes to Dream did stem some issues afterwards, you know, so we have actually fixed how the game works. So most likely 94 minutes is not going to be happening as Jin Air once again find themselves on the defensive. They have a very, very powerful Sivir to try and help them. Banshee's Veil is popped there on Grace's side. BDD trying to poke his head in. Prey doing the same thing as the Boomerang Blades are very, very scary.
If KT can even get a Sivir ult, they'll feel really good about this. So trying to walk up, inevitable pressure all over the map.
Yep, Battle Dance is going to be utilized there from Snowflower. They are so tricky. All of these KT members, even Prey with his Feather Storm, is hard to lock down. With Battle Dance, Safeguard, Total Jump, you know, they're just all over the place.
And in these siege moments, your siege champions, remember we said Jin Air had the siege, only BDD is the siege champion. Long-range, non-committal CC is king in scenarios like this. BDD doesn't have the best terrain to find that big trouble bubble to stop this defense.
Yeah, it's exactly right. You know, Zoe works so much better when you're fighting in the jungle, so you can use that extended range like you were talking about. It's not so good once you get these later stages.
Everyone else, if they're going in, they're sticking in, so they really want BDD to find something.
Umpty's going to be taking care of this mid lane wave. Kingen on the top side, though, he has himself an Unleashed power, and he's trying to get as much pressure as he can.
Respawn on the top in him. We have the overlay on the bottom right to confirm that, but they're going to lose an inhibitor Atlas.
Yeah, Prey has too much damage at this stage. He can just take it down so quickly. The reset had to come in for Jin Air to get their health bars and mana bars back up again and get a few extra items to try and win this next fight.
Jin Air is up in gold, right? They're farming out. They've got 8 more kills, but does that matter? Here we go.
Yeah, pretty spooky opportunity here for Jin Air as well as Linderung starts that fight with the Twin Shadows. Prey was discovered, but he's able to move himself out of the way, and Jin Air just didn't quite get themselves onto the same page as to where the engage was going to happen.
Honestly, though, Atlas, it kind of has to be a bit of a bluff, a bit of a prank from Jin Air, because the moment you actually go into the enemy, well, I guess your jungle, but of course at this point it feels like the enemy jungle, then the trouble bubbles really do start hitting. So that's a little bit more difficult for Jin Air. They want to play in the open, but they want to fight in the open. And KT quite now have their head screwed on the right way. They know fighting might actually be really hard.
Well, they are going to go back to this 2-2-1 type split opportunity, which is just going to try and spread Jin Air out as much as they possibly can. Linderung picks up the super minion wave.
Final spot used to spot there, in case you guys are wondering. Yep, it doesn't do a lot of damage.
No, it does give vision. Is the good news. Elementalist Lux, the Lux of choice for Kellen. What's your favorite Lux skin? Do you have one?
I really like clicking buttons, so I do like going Elementalist and putting different combinations together.
Ah, yeah.
That's fun.
I personally like Space Marine Lux.
Oh, right. Sure, that's a classic. Is that Guardian or something?
Yeah. It was the coolest. When it came out, it was like the coolest skin that had been made.
Well, to be fair, her Space Marine brother, Garen,
yeah,
cool
that one's
skin
also
there as well.
sick,
So I understand where you're at. Oh, no. Umpty's got negative gold. Hard times over here.
Oh, damn. He's investing.
That's right. He's taken out a loan, and he's, you know, he probably feels like he won't be alive to pay it off. He probably thinks it'll be all over before he has to pay off that loan. Guardian Angel done. I imagine the Jorm's Fist was done, but maybe it was the GA, hard to know.
Yep, 47 seconds. The Baron is going to be available once again, but the Elder Drake in 30 seconds is going to put a couple of things that Jin Air need to worry about. On this map, Banshee's Veil is going to be popped there as Grace not going to have that available for the next few seconds.
Right, Jin Air's pushing out. No one's side laning here. It's everybody, honestly, around mid lane.
Kingen gonna get the abscond. That's the triple stun as the quickness goes over 3 in the backline instantly. Blade Call is gonna come through, but you can see the death report. The Sivir is no longer there. Jin Air are just melting because Prey is still alive. Grace is down there, but not for very long, and Kingen at half health means that Linderung has to just try to slink away. This should be game for KT Rolster, but damn, it was hard.
Damn, it was hard indeed. 2 Nikos with a big story. TP out of 10, he's dead.
Umpty's so good at that, Papa Smithy, don't we remember, in that 94-minute game.
And the best Nikos, the counterfeit one. Turns out the branding doesn't matter. Kingen in melee range of the Sivir. Root and the